Hello, folks. Chris from Cry Mercury with HappyCampRepublic.info, iMercury.info, and here's a continuation on the discourse we're having regarding intentional communities, resource-based economy, acquisition of required resources, especially real estate, and the essentials for life. Now, I think there's like 3 different topics I'm going to be trying to cover here. So I'm going to try to be brief. Now, the first thing is monetary value and cost of production. Okay, in a resource-based economy, what we are concerned with is the essentials for life. Food, water, clothing, shelter, healthcare, education, and we want to try to get in transportation, communication, and recreation. But those, are wants, not needs. So, the big problem with the capitalistic system we have right now is that a small group of oligarch bankers own everything by their virtue of being able to create fiat currency at their whim. Now, as I detailed in my last video, Ludwig von Mises says that we need to have 3 things in an economic system for it to be viable. Because we already know that collectivism, communism, socialism is a failed system. Do you remember the Cold War? What happened to the Soviet Union? So that's why I'm adverse to those terms and that ideology, because it is a failed system. In my opinion, capitalism is also a failed system. I do not endorse either system. So when we're creating the resource-based economy, we have to dump their terms and start creating our own value, our own vocabulary, and way of doing things. And the wonderful thing about a resource-based economy, if we're not forced by some collective entity, a government, an entity that has a monopoly on application of force to compel us to do anything, anarchism, volunteerism, civil disobedience, I think, is a key in resource-based economy to become a viable option. It is not going to happen because we have a violent revolution and we overthrow the government and institute a new socio-economic system. The way the resource-based economy will take hold is because of the failure of the socialist capitalist system, that we are able to provide the needs of life more efficiently to more people with less resources, with less resource inputs. Okay, so let's get to my first thing. Okay, water. Now, for me and where I live, clean potable water is very plentiful. There's not a problem whatsoever in obtaining water here. If it didn't come out of the tap, I could walk down to the creek, which is, not even, 500-600 yards down the hill here, and I could collect very tasty potable water just right out of the stream, no processing necessary. I lived on it for 6 months. Now, if I take that water and I have a container and I put it in this container, all of a sudden I have something of value. People in metropolitan areas might pay $1 for this container of water. It doesn't cost me anything because this container is garbage. Instead of throwing it into the garbage and taking it to the transfer station and paying to have it disposed of, I think it's wise to save the container and reuse it. Okay, so that right there is a resource-based economy mindset, a way of doing business, or a way of living that does not have any monetary cost, does not create any profit, does not create a wage. All these capitalistic terms are irrelevant. So the question is, who needs this water? Who needs this water more than me? And a resource-based economy would consist of a automated system in which we could gauge demand. Like I know people that are living in Fukushima, they could probably use this water because it's not contaminated by radiation. But is it a wise allocation of resources for me to send that water to them? And that is the problem that the resource-based economy infrastructure would need to, that's a calculation, a problem that would have to solve. More often, or probably what would happen, or, and this is actually a product that I'm going to actually endeavor to actually offer. So I could build some kind of like page or, something, I don't know. Build some kind of software so I could gauge demand and try to meet that demand without any monetary consideration. Okay, so that's just one experiment I'm going to be getting going. And then I also have another experiment that requires money, gasoline, because that's a scarce resource in these parts, and people are starting to steal, thieve gasoline to meet their needs. And because I am an anarchist and I don't believe that theft is moral or correct, I want to stop this behavior. But I don't want to stop it with getting law enforcement or the government or any additional regulation to solve that problem. I think this problem can be solved much more efficiently if we just make that resource more available to people. Okay? So that's that. Please get back to me on that cost, price thing. Because, when we start going into more complex things like, computers that we might need for education, or, bicycles that we might need for transportation, or the cell phone that I'm recording this video on. These are all things that can increase production, increase productivity and quality of life, but they are not necessary for a quality of life, or, for life in itself. So we also have to build that into the resource-based economy calculation, so that we're able to get these higher value, scarcer commodities into the hands of the productive people who will use them most and give back to the resource-based economy the biggest dividend. So, the other big thing, and like I said, Ludwig von Mises says we need three things to have a successful monetary socioeconomic system. One, private property rights. Two, free exchange. Three, has to be backed by a honest currency, which could be a labor bank, alternative currency, a commodity-based currency, gold, silver, etc. Now, I do not like the word collectiveness. I mean, it's a wonderful term if you're going to volunteer to participate. But if you make participation mandatory, that's called communism. And it goes against the non-aggression principle, which I don't think that the government or any entity should have a monopolistic power on issuance of force to make anyone do anything. Okay, and here's one question that, or a reply I've got. I'm involved in quite a few different threads. I'm actually doing something with my life. I can only devote a few hours to study this, keep up with it. That's why I make these videos, because, like I said, I'm actually building a community. This afternoon, I'm going to get one of my associates and bring them back here because they've become homeless, and we're working on a solution to that problem, and we intend to do it in a resource-based economy fashion. So, that's another reason why I keep making these videos, because I want to show you all how it's done, because I'm not just some academic or somebody with a theory that's trying to create something, some theory. No, I'm trying to do something here, so, if you're not, enjoying my messages and what I'm saying, that's fine. I really don't care, because I've got work to do. Okay? Anyway. This is from Michael E.V. Knight, the administrator of the Build a Hybrid RBE Community Now group on Facebook. And this is a very long, thread that we've been talking about. And we're basically we've just been arguing semantics, terms, and what it really means to us who want to manifest a resource-based economy. So here's what Michael's saying to me. Christopher, the problem with private property real estate in a resource-based economy is there will be no money. How do we do it? Do we allow everyone that currently owns property to keep it in RBE? Billionaires that now own tens of thousands of acres can keep it, and humanity can do nothing on it? What about people living in apartments that are now privately owned? What if they want to own private property on tens of thousands of acres? How do you buy it with no money and everyone gets what they need free? What if population was to go up another billion people? Where do they live? There is too many problems. That's why the earth needs to be shared by all. You get a nice space to live in any area you want to live in, and just pack your one bag of clothes and a few personal items and go wherever you want, whenever you want. Okay. You see, what we're talking about is the monopoly that bankers have on getting access to a place to live, shelter. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that people, that's one of the biggest expenses that people have, other than energy. I think is probably this number 2 expense. So, or communications. In my case, shoot, I have a cell phone bill. It's like $400 a month, but that's because I pay for it for about four different. I pay for 4 different lines, and I provide that for no obligation because I know that these people having those cell phones is productive, and I don't expect anything back. That's just something I do. And this has been, and money, access to money, a down payment, that has been the problem with me acquiring any real estate in the past 4 years that I've been trying to do this project. Okay? So it's obviously a huge problem that needs to be corrected. But we do not need to lessen the property rights of people that already own their real estate, be they whatever their economic status. We do not need to confiscate their property so everybody can have some, because there's plenty already. Because to me, that, like I said, goes against the non-aggression principle, in that you're denying somebody what they've earned, and even though that may have been earned through fraud and abuse, well, if that's true, then let's develop a system that we can go through a court, a case can be made, and if that property is found to have been stolen, then obviously that person shouldn't rightfully have title to that property. But you see, that's a process, and there has to be proof, and it's not done arbitrarily by a monopolistic power. That would be, executed, in a constitutional republic. That would be done by a jury. So it's not just because we have a mob of people, a majority, that think that, oh gosh, so-and-so's got something and we need to take it away from them. That's the whole problem with the capitalistic, socialistic system. They claim to have rights on the resources that you create, and they misallocate them. So that's the real problem with what we got going right now. Now, with the rich people owning all that land, I don't care. They can own all the land they want. There's lots of land. There's lots of public land. There's lots of private land. There's plenty of land for all of us to live on, and we certainly don't need to be paying bankers for that. And that, in a resource-based economy, is where we reallocate our money resources into systems or programs or whatever that meet our needs, So, that's just, some of my musings, what I'm putting out there. I'm trying, like I said, I'm leading by example here. I'm trying to obtain some, now that I have some, dollars, I'm looking to acquire some real estate so I can do these projects that I'd like. But I also am leery because of the economy right now. Interest rates are rising, so that means that in the future, real estate prices will have to come down. So I'm in no hurry to go out and purchase a piece of land free and clear because of that situation. Because real estate is inflated. The values are inflated. It's that's one of the barriers. A person 120 years ago could go out and work a normal job, go out and buy a lot, buy a house, put it on that lot, and they could do it with just, with less than a year's wages, But nobody can do that these days. Only people that have, a six-figure income and then choose to live in substandard housing for their social status are able to do that. And that is, that's a function of inflation. That's a banker money changer function that, we obviously have to develop some kind of alternative system. But I do not believe that abolition of property rights will bring the bounty of the world to everybody. You're going to conserve what is yours, and you're going to take care of it. I clean up my yard and I tend my garden and stuff because it has value to me, not because somebody is forcing me to do it. So property rights and doing what you think is right is very important to what we're trying to do here. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm really averse to communism. I'm a veteran, disabled veteran now, 100% disabled veteran, and I swore an oath. I swore my life to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And it's too bad that we don't follow that document anymore. And more we demand socialist institutions from the government to provide supposed rights. Like there is no right in the Constitution to provide health care, for example. I think that's a very important thing that every human being should have access to, but it is not a constitutional right. And it's because of socialism, and especially the way America is going at it with Obamacare, this is going to be disastrous. It's actually going to lower our health, our health care. It's going to make it harder for us to get health care, and the price is going to go through the roof. It's going to continue to go through the roof. So we have to figure out ways of doing this. We got to make our system better than the capitalist socialist system. And the only way we're going to do that is if we run our resource-based economy system different than those systems. I agree, because there's fundamental corrupt flaws in them, and they have to be addressed. But once we address them and we get a working model going, the whole world will beat a path to our door for our superior way of living. And we just have to do that by example. So anyway, that's just all I got for today. This is way too long. Thank you very much for watching. Please like Happy Camp Republic by visiting happycamprepublic.info. Thank you very much and have a great day.